Final thoughts on the 2020 War and Peace version. I like it better than the older one. One, they compel you to follow the historical account. So you have to attack Austria, you have to attack Prussia, and then the victory conditions, depending on how uh, the highest level you want, you have to attack Spain, and you either have to control Lisbon to get certain automatic victories. You don't have to invade England, but that's one of the automatic victories. And then you have to invade Moscow at one time. In the old game, you could just attack Austria and Prussia and then sit there and fortify Europe, get an automatic victory or a victory at the end. But this one says no, you don't get that victory unless you had invaded Spain and Russia. So, in that respect, it's a great 1v1 game. Because even though they're compelling you to go down the historical route, there is, some uncertainty. Like Prussia can still come in the war, and then seeing what you just saw in the game I just showed, the French Navy actually destroyed the British Navy, and we can discuss that for a minute here. I think the combat table for the Navy is a lot better. I think the damaged results helped the French out because they're just not losing ships. They allowed the French every year to put a squadron in their force pool, and I don't think they allowed that in the other game. And then the French were allowed to save their naval production points, and they didn't allow that in the other game. So they really helped the French out on that front. And as you can see in the game we just played, now we got a few lucky rolls, and that's all it took. Now, one thing I will advise in the Navy strategy is if what was happening a lot here was, especially as the British, I was winning a battle and then I automatically pursued because in the old game, that's just what you did. I mean, you just destroyed the French Navy quick. But in this new version, a lot of times, it happened quite a few times, maybe 5 times. The British won the first battle, then pursued, and they lost the second one. So I don't think it's as wise anymore to pursue, you know, uh, just automatically like we did in the old game. So you're going to have to be careful of that. For the French, I believe the French, to balance out the morale of the English fleets and Nelson, you should only try to fight the British when you have at least 3-2 odds, but preferably 2-1 odds. And that really helped out. I can roll as low as a 3 and win the battle. Even if I got a 2 after modifications, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I would end up retreating, but it wasn't bad. So always try to get those 3-2 or 2-1 odds. And I like the rules about uh, you can't run the blockade and attack from the outside at the same time. It's just a reality check for the Navy. And if you're going to try to run the blockade and attack from the outside, the British can choose who to fight first, or they can let you combine before they attack, or they can attack one squadron at a time. So it's not a good idea to do that. So what I would do is just not run the blockade if I was planning to attack the the blockading fleet. So the naval rules really helped out. Now, as far as the invasion of England went, this is the first time I've ever been able to achieve it. In the old game, you never really could. Now, part of the problem is the French only have 2 transports. Now, you can't invade England with 2 transports. Even with the new invasion rules where you walk across England, you won't succeed because you have to supply that army. To supply the army, you can only bring 5 supply points at a time. That means, you know, if you're walking men across, you can supply 10 troops. So that's all you're going to have is 10. The English may be able to beat that off. So if you're going after a English strategy, it behooves you to make sure you get the Spanish transport on your side or that Danish transport. That's what I would do. Now, I did even have the Swedish transport, and I could have brought that over. Now, remember, the Swedes can't combine with anybody, but they can just help you run supply. So, if you're going to have this strategy and plan on it, make sure you get the transports. Because what I found out is, even with the 4 transports I had, it was hard for me to get an army into England and supply it. Very difficult. So make sure you have enough transports for that. And then it is possible once you get rid of the English Navy. Now, Spain, this is the second time I've invaded Spain, and it's going pretty well. It is a difficult task for the French. The Spanish just can build the militia. They got partisans that can go all over. Uh, it's a daunting task for the French. And what I've learned in that is you can't go in there half-ass. Okay, you have to bring a huge army. It's very difficult to conquer Spain if you're trying to fight another country. And even in this game where I had the English fleet beat and I was invading England, it was hard for me to get enough troops into Spain. It was taking too long. So if you're going to invade Spain, you got to make sure you have, I would say at least 40 strength points. So it's almost like you need almost the entire French army to succeed there. And even in this one, I didn't even have the British helping, but you have to have the French army in there. If you're fighting another nation, it's going to be very difficult. Now, luckily for the rules, to get an automatic victory, you only have to control Lisbon. So that is doable. To contain Spain, only control half of it and conquer Lisbon. I think that would be more possible if you're going for that automatic victory. As it was in this game, I got an automatic victory by conquering England and controlling 15 production cities. I have yet to really uh, fight Russia in a campaign game, so hopefully the next one we play, uh, maybe that'll happen. Also, if you're the English player, you have to send production points to the other countries. It was taking Austria. Remember, Austria's entire army was lost, and it took forever to rebuild it, and the English couldn't send production points. So make sure as the English, you send plenty of production points to the countries you got to deal with. It might even be a good strategy to not waste the entire Austrian army and let the French conquer uh, your country. Now, that might be difficult because if I was the French and you guys let me take Vienna, remember, you still have to take Budapest to get it conquered. So if the Austrian army tried to run somewhere, I'd probably just chase it down and of course, the French can move faster and then destroy it before you conquered it. But hey, it'll take the French more turns to do that. So that might be a good strategy there. Same with the Prussians, same kind of strategy there. Try to save the army, maybe. It's up to you guys. Um, So the English must help with the production points to get these nations back in the game fast. But as far as the rules, I like rule number 7. And I showed you in the game how that would work, the demoralization. Now, this favors the French totally. And it helps the English because when you have good morale of 2 and you have a leadership of 3, you're going to rally your troops almost every time. But Austria, Prussia, and the Spanish especially are going to have a difficult time. So in Spain, that rule number 7 of the demoralization stays on. That helps the French in Spain and it hurts the Spanish. So you kind of need that rule. I use all the other optional rules. Now, one rule I didn't use is uh, Nelson's daring. Now, if we play this again and the English have a tough time of winning the sea battle, we might have to invoke Nelson's daring. I didn't use it because I know how tough the English fleet was and they always beat the French, but in this game they lost. So if that can happen more and more in this 2020 version, then you might want to use Nelson's daring. But I'm not convinced. This is pliable strategy to go after London yet, even though it did happen. I got a lot of good rolls in the beginning. So I'd have to see it happen again or come close to happening before I put that roll in. So other than that, I really think this is a great two-player game. It is awesome. You're following history. It really was good. So I will probably never play the old version again.